a lot of myths and a lot of misperceptions about business and about business aviation. One of the business myths is that all great multinational companies are located in big urban centers. There's really not a lot of business done in our smaller communities. That's not right. There are great companies all over the United States in lots of different communities, like Moline, Illinois. And there's this myth that great companies will not speak up about the value of their airplane to their actual bottom line, won't talk about how important the airplane is to the company's business strategy. And that's not right either. Today we have with us Dave Everitt, who's the president of Agricultural and Turf for one of America's truly great companies, John Deere, located in Moline, Illinois. Dave started with John Deere in 1975, and he's moved up to the top ranks. Through it all, he's believed in business aviation. He's used business aviation. After all, he's a pilot. Dave?
Thanks, Ed. You know, it's really great to be here singing the praises of business aviation. And this is from the perspective of a guy who has logged over 175,000 nautical miles to and from 20 countries in the past year, all thanks to John Deere Aviation. Now, that's some heavy-duty travel, to be sure, but I shudder to think about how much more challenging my job would be if I had to depend on commercial aviation to get my work done. Working within the confines of someone else's schedules, someone else's regulations, and someone else's destinations is just not conducive to productivity, and is exactly the reason business aviation is so crucial to running a growing multinational company. And to those who perpetuate the misconception of business aviation as a perk for the rich and famous, my response is you fully don't understand that business aviation is a critical enabler to operating successfully in today's global marketplace. For John Deere, that means supporting a higher quality of life around the world. A pretty noble cause, if you ask me. Let me briefly explain what I mean by that. For 175 years, John Deere has been committed to the success of its customers, those linked to the land. Today, we are focused on helping our customers meet the world's dramatically increasing need for food, fuel, shelter, and infrastructure through productive and efficient equipment. John Deere is the world leader in providing advanced products and services for agriculture, construction, forestry, lawn and turf care, landscaping, and irrigation products. We're also a worldwide leader in the manufacture of off-highway diesel engines and operate one of the largest equipment finance companies in the United States. I believe we have an exciting future, one that's being shaped by three major trends that impact the world today. First, a growing global population. I'm sure you've heard all the projections that there's about 7 billion people in the world today, and it's projected to grow to about 9 billion by 2050 in just 40 short years. That's a 30% increase in mouths to feed in 40 years. To meet that demand, we know we must double the food supply by that time. That is, double what we produce today in the next 4 decades on virtually no more land and fewer resources and more precious resources like water. And John Deere is well positioned to meet this challenge through advances in farming mechanization and productivity. A second major trend affecting our business is the rising prosperity, particularly in developing countries such as China and India. As incomes rise, more people upgrade their diets with animal protein and meat, which in turn increases the demand for grains. Now, these two issues together, these two trends together mean that the farmers around the world in 40 years will have to produce more food than has been produced in the last 10,000 years, just to give you an idea of the challenge. The final trend is urbanization. This more affluent population is moving from rural to urban areas, massively increasing the need for infrastructure and development. In China, for example, I've heard it said that the equivalent of a brand new city of 1 million people is being built every single month. As a frequent traveler to that country, I can tell you it's mind-boggling to see the surge of roads, bridges, and buildings under construction today. Now, the purpose in this lesson of all things Deere is to help you understand that just because we're headquartered in America's heartland, along the beautiful Mississippi River in Moline, Illinois, doesn't mean we don't touch nearly every corner of the world through 6 continents and more than 35 countries. Business aviation allows us to do that. It's not a luxury, but a fundamental enabler of our global strategy, an essential business tool. We simply could not operate efficiently or profitably if it weren't for our ability to jump on a plane, sometimes at a minute's notice, and fly halfway around the world and arrive safely, refreshed, and ready to go to work. In my job, going to work each morning can easily mean going to the Quad City Airport and getting on an airplane at the new John Deere Aviation headquarters, or going to my office at Deere headquarters in Moline. In fact, I consider our corporate aircraft, we have a G5, a G550, and 2 Cessna Citation 10s, I consider them as my office in the air. And I believe, not sure all my employees agree, but I believe that I do some of my best thinking at 40,000 feet. But I'm also able to hold some very significant strategic conversations with my colleagues or brainstorming sessions with my colleagues in a quiet, confidential, and comfortable environment while doing so. Now, I already mentioned the crazy number of flight hours I've completed in the last 12 months, and I probably average about 15 days of travel a month, much to my wife's chagrin. But this past June was one for the record books and one that she hopes I don't repeat, and she's sitting on the front row here making sure that I don't. In the past June was one for the record books. I spent a week in India, traveling to 2 cities. I spent 3 days in Columbia, South Carolina. I spent 5 days in China among 4 cities, and I visited 4 countries in sub-Saharan Africa in 5 days. And I managed to make it home every weekend. Try replicating that schedule on commercial airlines and live to tell about it. Now, there's just no way I could have traveled to that many places in that short a time without the John Deere Aviation Department. For me, it's the closest thing I have to a time machine. And to a busy executive, and you all know this, time is everything. As John Deere continues to widen its manufacturing footprint and expand its global market presence, business aviation will remain one of our most valuable tools. Our growth opportunities are focused in the emerging BRIC countries, Brazil, Russia, India, China. For example, Brazil and Russia have huge potential to become a high-production ag producer, representing nearly half of the arable land globally that can be brought into production to help feed the world. In India and China, the challenge is different. The challenge is to simply increase mechanization of planting and harvesting, which will have a huge impact on improving agricultural productivity. Whether large or small, from the 250,000-acre farms of Brazil's Mato Grosso to the smallest subsistence farmers of India or sub-Saharan Africa who are working just a few hectares of land, we need to understand our customers. John Deere must understand our customers inside and out. And the best way to do that is face-to-face. And we call this deep customer understanding, a critical success factor in reaching our goals. In geographies where Deere is less known and the competitors are much better established, we want to fully understand our customers' specific local needs, wants, and then translate those into winning products, services, and capabilities better than anybody else. Now, we do rely heavily on all forms of electronic communication. We use email, telepresence, WebEx, teleconferencing, and my favorite, the iPhone. Yet despite the marvelous array of technology at our fingertips, nothing replaces, in our business and in many businesses, nothing replaces the effectiveness of face-to-face communications. And that's where business aviation, and in particular, the John Deere Aviation Group, helps me and my staff, who are located in over 4 countries and 6 cities, manage our time efficiently. From the pilots to the schedulers to the technicians in our staff, I have an enormous amount of respect for each one of them. They handle multiple permits required by an increasing number of overseas countries. They coordinated very limited arrival and departure slots, and in one memorable case, negotiated with local bureaucrats in Turkmenistan to get fuel so we could leave town and get home. That was a really important negotiation. They do great work, and I'd just like to take this opportunity to publicly thank them, and I know a few of them are in their crowd today. Larry, Jay, Roger, Mark, Steve, Amanda, Dorette, Judy, stand up and just take a bow. Say thank you. Thank you for making my job a lot easier. Now, before closing, I'd like to veer off course slightly and comment on a shared issue that John Deere has with all of you, and that's our GPS system. Our producer customers use GPS to run their daily operations. GPS helps them maximize productivity, minimize environmental hazards, and run their daily business better than they ever had before. And you all know how critical GPS is to aviation navigation, and the fact that the FAA's next-gen air traffic system will rely on GPS and precision GPS approaches. The current efforts by the Light Squared Company to supplement their GPS license with terrestrial-based systems and transmitters will jeopardize the existing GPS infrastructure on which both of us rely. Now, we are at John Deere confident that solutions exist to solve this issue if sufficient time is allowed for testing, rigorous testing and evaluation. So if you, like me, feel the current system is at risk through the rush to certify Light Squared's petition to the FCC, I urge you to contact your congressional delegations and share your concerns and ask that sufficient time and testing be allowed to find a workable and safe solution. In closing, I'd like to thank all of you for the valuable work you do each and every day. I hope that you'll all leave here confident with the knowledge that you play a significant role in corporate America's success, despite what the critics may say. When utilized appropriately, business aviation services will always be crucial to helping companies like John Deere grow and prosper. Be assured you have a supporter in me. It's a real privilege to do the work I do, and I want to thank people in this audience and in our staff in particular who help me keep going each and every day. Thank you very much.